Storm Goretti is on its way. It's going to be a multi-hazard event. What does that mean? Well, stick with me. I'm going to give you all the details about the rain, the wind and the snow that we're going to expect as we go through this Thursday and this Friday. I'm Alex Burkill, presenter and meteorologist here at the Met Office. Thank you for joining me for this Storm Goretti special. Let's dive into it. And behind me, I have the latest satellite imagery. I'm recording this lunchtime on Wednesday, the 7th of January. And it's actually quite tricky to see the feature that will become Storm Goretti when we look out to the west of us. But let's look at our synoptic charts then and run this through as we go through the next day or so. And it's this feature here that's going to develop into Storm Goretti. It's being driven by the jet stream. You can see the pink colours showing where the jet stream's at its strongest and the arrows indicating how it's moving through. And then you can see Gerretti, the low itself, actually does something quite important. It crosses over the jet. It goes from the southern, the warmer right side to the colder northern left side. And why is that important? Well, it's that process of crossing the jet and ending up on that left exit region that means it's going to deepen rapidly. As a result, let's get rid of the jet and put our winds on instead. We're going to end up with a deepening area of low pressure coming towards the UK. And then that deep area of low pressure pushes its way eastwards across southern parts of the country as we go through the latter part of Thursday, 8th of January and into Friday, the 9th of January. Now, if we look at these winds, quite importantly, you can see them wrapping around this area of low pressure. Let's zoom in a little bit. You can see them wrapping around, and yes, they're going to bring strong winds, damaging winds perhaps, to parts of the southwest of the UK in particular, but they're bringing even stronger winds to parts of northern northwestern France, which is why it's Météo France, the French Met Service, which have given this feature its name, which is why it's called Storm Goretti and not one of the names off our list. That being said, it is still going to bring significant impactful weather to the UK. So had the French not already named it, we would have. So it's one to take seriously and really keep on top of. We have lots of warnings out. I'll be going through some of them, most of them, in a bit more detail in a second. So it's a feature that's pushing its way across southern parts as we go through later Thursday and into Friday. And yes, it's going to bring heavy rain, strong winds, and also the potential for some significant snow. Let's look at the details and let's look at the UK weather then as we go through the latter part of Thursday. If we just run it through, you can see wet weather pushing into parts of the southwest as we go through Thursday morning, but then the heavier rain spills its way through, and then you can really see that low pressure system, the rain wrapping around it. And yes, the rain is going to be heavy for some places, but it's importantly going to be the strong winds in the southwest which are most likely to cause impacts. As I mentioned, I'll go through the warnings in a bit more detail in a second, but we have yellow and amber warnings for wind. Then the other thing to bear in mind is we have cold air across the UK at the moment, and we're going to see that cold air being wrapped back in, dragged into this weather system. As a result, on the northern edge of the rain that's pushing its way across parts of Wales, the Midlands, as we go through Thursday night and into Friday, we're going to see that start to turn to snow. And those snowfall amounts could really build up as we go through Thursday night through Friday morning. And that's why we have yellow snow and amber snow warnings out. As I mentioned, I'll go through those warnings in a bit more detail. So, a wet, wintry and windy picture across much of the southern half of the UK. From the north, it's a very different story, much quieter. Still some showers coming in. They could have a wintry element. Still some snow and ice warnings across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland for the time being. But it's really across the southern, well, half of the UK where we are going to see the impactful weather. It all then pushes through and eventually clears away towards the east, but it's going to take a wee while to do so. It's not really until, well, lunchtime, early afternoon on Friday that we see the impacts of it clearing away. In fact, some of that rain will continue down eastern parts of the UK for a little while yet. So rainfall totals building up. We have rain warnings out as well as all the snow and ice. So a quick look at our winds that we can expect as we go through the next 24, 36 hours or so. Let's start ahead to Thursday, and here you can see really strong gusts. We're talking 70, 80, possibly 90 miles per hour winds around the tip of Cornwall. This is suggesting in excess of 100. I think that's overdoing it a little bit, but 80, 90 mile per hour winds. Isles of Scilly, likely to see some significantly strong winds as we go through Thursday night and through into Friday morning as well. And then the winds really drop out, well, they ease and clear away as we go through Friday itself. So some very strong damaging winds across parts of the southwest of England and also the southwestern tip of Wales as well. Also strong winds towards the east, but they're not going to be as impactful. The other thing, the big talking point, as well as the rain, I'll go through that in a little bit, but it's the snow that we need to watch out for as well. So let's look at our snowfall amounts. And if I look at our rolling 6-hour snowfall totals as we go through, let's start ahead to tomorrow 6 p.m. So tomorrow is this coming Thursday. And if we zoom into Wales and the Midlands in particular, and what I'm going to have is some funky bars that are going to appear. And to show the bars in a little bit more detail, I'm just going to tilt the world a little bit so you can see those bars stacking up. And what we can see is we run through Thursday evening and overnight into Friday, you can see across the central, southern parts of Wales, significant snow building up, even across some parts of northern Wales. Snowdonia, for example, likely to see some high snowfall totals. I'll just stop it there because we've seen some of the peaks. So if we go back to around, middle of the night, on Thursday night, Friday morning, some significant amounts of snow building up across parts of Wales and also into the Midlands, but also Dartmoor and Exmoor seeing a fair amount of snow as well. So it is going to be difficult with this feature, exactly where it's going to be raining, where it's going to be snowing, always a tricky balance to work out. But be aware that there's the potential for this disruptive snow to come in as we have this wet weather pushing in and then that cold air gets wrapped back into it. And that's why we're expecting some severe disruption. Let's go through those warnings then. And these are the warnings correct at time of recording. Like I mentioned, some snow and ice warnings currently across parts of Northern Ireland at the moment. But let's go through to, let's look at these. So let's start off by just looking at our wind warnings, because in parts of the southwest we have a wind warning, so a yellow wind warning, which is valid from 3 p.m. on Thursday until 6 a.m. on Friday, and that covers, like I say, parts of southwest Wales, much of southwest England and along parts of the central southern coast. And that talks of gusts of 60, 70 miles per hour, 80, possibly even 90 miles per hour, because there's also then an amber wind warning across the tip of Cornwall. Now, that amber wind warning is valid from 5 p.m. on Thursday until 11 p.m. and it talks of gusts 80, 90 miles per hour, perhaps even stronger than that. So there's some very strong winds and going to cause some impacts for sure. The next one, let's look at our snow warnings. And there are a couple of those out as well, and I hope this will work. So as we go through, right, so we have a large snow warning across much of Wales, the Midlands, and into parts of northern England. But within that, there's an amber snow warning. That's because there's the potential for 20, 30 centimetres, mainly over the higher ground, particularly the higher ground, the hills, the mountains of Wales, but perhaps also into the Peak District. We could see those kind of values. So a significant amount of snow building up. Also some snow, like I mentioned, for Dartmoor and Exmoor. And then lastly, just to highlight, we do also have some rain warnings across parts of southwest Wales and also down the eastern side of England, 46 to 60 millimetres perhaps, because of this event. So like I said at the start, it's a multi-hazard event. We're going to see heavy rain, strong winds, and also some significant and disruptive snow. Stay on top of the warnings because they're likely to get updated and tweaked as confidence firms up on those details. Now, one last thing before I go, I just wanted to highlight that the cold weather isn't going anywhere particularly fast. It sticks with us as we go into the weekend. But with that then, we then have a weather system that's coming in from the west as we go through Sunday, and that weather system is then likely to hit up against the cold air across us. And so particularly during the latter part of Sunday and into Monday, there's the potential for more disruptive snow. But that's awfully far away. Uncertain about the details regarding that. What I'm more confident about is the fact that the storm coming through Thursday and into Friday is going to cause some impacts across southern parts of the UK.